If you haven't heard by now, Ubisoft staff in France and Italy now are striking because Ubisoft corporate has told them they have to go back to work in the office. A vastly inferior work model that decreases productivity and has never really been very beloved by employees. A lot of content creators have taken to saying this is a really bad decision, as corporations, when you strike, single out the strikers for termination. But I'm here to tell you, this is the perfect time for Ubisoft's employees to be striking. They're not idiots. They're actually making a good decision. How so? Well, let's get into it. Paragraph 7 of the preamble to the 1946 French Constitution guarantees the right to strike. Relevant to the strike, demands of a professional nature, such as matters relating to working condition, but solidarity with other employees is also possible if it is in the collective and professional interest. The strike meets the requirements to strike, and it is protected. Article L2511-1 of the French Labor Code stipulates that the exercise of the right to strike cannot justify the termination of employment contract, except in the case of gross negligence on the part of the employee, and that any dismissal pronounced in the absence of gross negligence is null and void. Thus, in order to justify the dismissal, it is up to the employer to prove that the employee has committed gross misconduct, i.e. misconduct that was committed with the intention of harming the employer. By prohibiting the termination of employment contracts based on the exercise of the right to strike, or by reducing this possibility to the specific case of gross negligence, the Labor Code ensures the protection of those involved in the protest. While the Court of Cassation has long held that the dismissal for participating in a strike is null and void, it has very quickly extended its scope to any dismissal for any act committed during the strike that could not be qualified as gross negligence. So under French law, they can't be fired. What about Italian law, though? Well, if my CPU would work faster. The code of the employment code in Italy also protects the right to strike. And as we hop over, you can see Article 40 of the Italian Republic Constitution of 1948 protects the right to strike, stating, the Workers' Statute Law number 300 of 1970, introduced in the Article 15, 16, and 28 for the workers' protection provisions against anti-union abuses, such as replacing striking workers with those who do not join the strike or discriminatory acts of the employers. The right to strike does not affect the employment relationship or social security contributions. However, in practice, the employer may take into account the hours of absence from work due to strike for the calculations of days off or Christmas bonus. So the worst Ubisoft can do in France and Italy is deduct bonuses. Let's say Ubisoft tries to fire them anyway. Well, they'll just be sued. And in France's case, the termination will be then voided. In Italy, they'll be sued. But let's go even further and say that they could get away with it. Who are they going to replace them with? Ubisoft has an abysmal reputation in the gaming industry. No sane, quality talent is going to want to go work for them. Ubisoft corporate knows this. They're not going to get high-level positions filled without having to pay a ton of money, and even then with their toxic workplace culture being known as they push DEI that discriminates against white males, as they push ESG, which is Marxist mumbo-jumbo, they're not going to have people at the door trying to get in. So Ubisoft's in this position where they legally can't fire these employees, and even if they could, they wouldn't be able to replace these employees. Right now is the perfect time for Ubisoft's employees to be striking. because the company is economically hurting and needs work to be done immediately. Meaning Ubisoft corporate is desperate, and in their desperation, they will be more likely to concede to the workers' demands. And that's all there's to say about this. Hit that like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.